What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Rip the Net, bringing you all the sports and culture. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this podcast. We're excited to be bringing you a new set of topics this week. My name is Eric.
I'm Dre.
I'm Alexi.
Yeah, we're recording this on the week of May 26th, and it's been an eventful week. So, how are you guys feeling? How are you guys doing?
And it's Memorial Day, and I'm paying tribute to Manchester United. Man, it's a crazy year for them. Respect to the fallen. Yeah.
Yeah, hard to follow that up. I'm feeling great, man. Chelsea handled business. We'll get to that later on in the episode, but I'm celebrating like we won a trophy, and we did not yet. Anyway, hopefully we win the Europa League. Not Europa League, Conference League. We had to disrespect the Europa League, the Conference League. Hopefully we win that, but honestly, to me, top 5 is more important, so we'll take those.
Okay. It's interesting. Speaking of almost winning a trophy, man, Knicks pulled out a Game 3 victory last night. We don't have a dedicated segment to the NBA playoffs this week. I do just want to give a shout out to Karl Anthony Towns, man. He's the one that gave us that first victory. We have Game 2 tomorrow. By the time this goes up, it will be the day of Game 5, I believe. So we'll see where we are in the series. We're either tied up 2-2 or down 3-1. I think it'll be 2-2, but maybe that's the bias speaking within me. It's been a painful series so far, I won't lie, but I still have hope. I don't think I ever lost hope, but a lot of that is just banking on how tomorrow's game goes. So we shall see. To any Knick fans listening out there, or to any, I guess temporary Knick fans, there's been a lot of people hitting my line telling me that they are rooting for the Knicks. We accept you with open arms, unless you were an official Knick hater, but that's neither here nor there. That's a conversation for another day. But just wanted to say it's been an interesting conference finals round so far, and yeah, we're almost at the finish line. We're almost at the finals.
You really welcome in the bandwagon.
Yeah, listen, man. I have very unique feelings about bandwagon fans. If you don't watch basketball and you want to root for the Knicks, hey, you're welcome. But if you're a basketball fan and you're a basketball fan and you're hate watching, you hate the Pacers, hey, again, we accept you. But there's definitely, can't say I give the same grace to every single person. But like I said, man, neither here nor there. It's okay. It's okay. But I'm just excited, man. It's been a great year. But cool. Anyways, Dre, you want to kick off our... Actually, Alexi, do you...
No. Crazy, switch up. No, I'm gonna let Dre enjoy this.
I would salivate at the opportunity to introduce this segment. Oh my goodness, what a day. What a day in the history of Manchester United. The greatest club in the history of the modern English game. The heights, 13 Premier League titles. Arguably the greatest coach, I'm sure you guys would say definitively the greatest manager in the history of the Premier League, Sir Alex Ferguson. I wonder how he feels right now after he watched Manchester United lose a European final to the biggest bottle jobs in the history of the modern English game, Tottenham Hotspur, who ended their trophy duck against Manchester United in the Europa League Final out in Bilbao. Wow. What a day that was. I'm sure you guys enjoyed it too, didn't you?
Bro, I must have gone through 2 boxes of tissues. I have never seen a worse game of football in my life. I have never been so distraught. I have never seen such a terrible goal go in and literally every possible thing that could go wrong. I'm gonna just get straight into it, bro. From the starting lineup, the fact that you are starting a Mason Mount who has barely played this season and only just has been recovering. It's like that was the first questionable choice. Like, I like him, but that was questionable. But then you're starting Luke Shaw? Luke Shaw? Nah, dude, I don't know what Amarin was on that game. That was just a poor decision. Every time that dude plays, it's like bad luck, bro. And not only did he give away that goal with his handball, essentially, he just had a terrible performance, as he usually does. The rest of the team, bro, everyone was a ghost. Bruno that game fumbled. I'm pretty sure that's what led to the goal. Look, with regards to Garnacho, he should have started, bro. He really was. He helped Man U get to where they were in the Europa League, and putting that dude on for the last 20 minutes and him being the only threatening player in those last 20 minutes, pretty much. I mean, it's just a terrible decision making from Amarim, and now that dude is probably leaving this summer. I mean, I fully disagree with what he said after the game. If you didn't hear, he essentially said the season was shit, we were shit. We'll see what happens in the summer. Like, he essentially was just he looked fed up. He even said, like, I don't get, like, why I was only out there for 20 minutes when I helped, like, this whole tournament. So that dude's probably gone. I can't blame him, though. I mean, that's gotta hurt. There are so many other things I could touch upon. I mean, Onana, again, proof we need another keeper. I mean, yeah, I'm just devastated. And, like, the fact it was to Tottenham, too, who is literally on the edge of relegation at the end of this Premier League season, who just got away. They just got away with it. I'm only happy for Son. I'm happy he won something. He deserved it. But the rest of that team, bro, it's just embarrassing. I will say my one last comment before, Dre, you can respond, is I don't know what the hell the referee was doing that game. But from my point of view, he was calling everything for Tottenham's favor. I mean, they were fouling like crazy. There were so many points I thought we deserved a free kick, or one of them even should get a red, and it just did not happen. So I was disappointed in the refereeing personally. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you just got to blame the team. Man U has truly fallen from grace. The storm definitely arrived, as Amarim said, part of it due to his own decision-making with that lineup, but we have a new season ahead of us. Hopefully half these players are gone out. I don't want to see them again. And we just have a fresh start.
Interesting. Yeah, when I said earlier that I enjoyed it, that was cap. I mean, I enjoyed the result because I always love to see Manchester United fans cry, but in terms of just purely as a neutral watching that game, I was nodding off, bro. That game was so bad, like you said. It was a terrible watch. I was falling asleep in the last 10 minutes. It was very poor. But at the end of the day, like you said, you can only blame the establishment that is Manchester United for their loss. There's no point in that game where I felt like Manchester United deserved to win that game. No. Tottenham were just the better team, and to be honest, the luckier team. I'm not even going to say better. They were the luckier team. You can't even call it luck because Ange outcoached Amarim. He actually did, which is crazy because I feel like Ange is closer. If you mean outcoached by just parking the bus after getting your one goal, sure. Well, you have to be aware of your opposition. And Ange, who usually plays Ange ball, high line, he ditched his philosophy to go up against Manchester United, and he said, "You guys have to come beat us." And he was aware that Manchester United cannot break down a block. Yeah, terrible. bro. And your guy who's supposed to be the creative mastermind of this team had one of the worst performances of his season in Bruno
Absolutely.
Fernandes. Like, what was that?
Which is devastating given how much he carried us this season for like everything. And then the one moment where you need to shine, you just don't. You know?
Didn't show up.
It's a shame.
Ahmad was trying to carry you guys, but he was getting double, triple teams, whatever needed to be done. They basically weren't letting him onto his left foot properly. That was a good game plan, and it worked.
Good defending.
Basically, it's only Ahmad or Bruno really who are going to do anything for you. And if Bruno's not doing anything, and you can control Ahmad, then basically, man, you are castrated. It's cooked for them. So,
and let's not forget about our striker, man, our main striker, Hoyland, man. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, you gotta love him. You gotta love him. Oh my god. This was genuinely one of the worst watches I've had in a minute. It wasn't even a satisfying hate watch, but I will say, like you said, seeing Son lift that trophy after staying at Tottenham when really he had a lot of teams who would have wanted him back in his prime, and him and Harry Kane stayed for the most part, and obviously now Kane dipped to try to win a trophy, and with Bayern he ended up getting his this season as well. But for Son to spend his best 10 years of his career at this club and finally get it done when clearly he's slowly getting phased out because he's no longer at his peak anymore, I think that was one of the most wholesome moments I've seen watching, I guess, although this wasn't a Premier League game, but watching these Premier League teams, I feel like Son, out of most players in the Premier League, I feel like each team, there may be one player like this, but I feel like Son, more than anyone, even if you don't like Spurs, I think everyone likes Son. So it was actually a really heartwarming moment to see that happen. But it's interesting that you mentioned, I know we don't want to spend forever on this game, but that you mentioned the Garnacho situation. So it sounds like you're more on Garnacho's side than Amorim's side.
No, I'm on Garnacho's side with the argument of why the hell he didn't start. Because when you start every game of the tournament and you actually do well and help the team get to where it is, and then you're taken out, I mean that doesn't add up to me. And I mean the game plan it wasn't there. It should have been with Garnacho, I think. But I think his comments after the game were really ridiculous. I don't appreciate anyone on any team talking like that, because everyone knows, everyone Man U knows they've been shit, but you don't need your teammates to go out in public and say that. I think that it's a very egotistical thing to do and very short-sighted. And I mean, that's been the energy I've wanted out of Man U. So with him doing that, and with the rumors earlier in the January transfer window of him maybe going to Italy or even Chelsea, I think was rumored. We need the money, man. We need the money for the rebuild. So at this point, I'm fine with it if he wants to go. Clearly, I think he thinks he can do better somewhere else. We'll see if that's the case. He's still a young talent. But I think his time with Man U should be up after that.
I agree. And I hope it's not to Chelsea. We don't need that dead weight. I think he should go out to another league, and I think he could flourish in another league potentially, but just it's not here, buddy. It's not here. But I agree with you. I think Amorim, I think you have to put this game, I mean, obviously the players speak for themselves, and the board really more than anything is travesty, but for this game specifically, starting Shaw and Mount, like you said, I don't know if you saw Mount's heat map. This dude is literally just a dot, bro. He was just standing in one spot the entire game that he was on. He was literally just chilling in that left half space for that left 10 area. He was not moving at all. It was actually really, really poor to see. And Shaw, bro, I don't know how you finesse your way back into the starting lineup after being out for so long. He doesn't even look like a professional footballer, bro. He's not even in game shape. It didn't look like. It's actually kind of crazy. I don't know how. I guess Amorim just backs him, but
dude, he's been injured most of the season, I'm pretty sure.
100%.
Just like Mount, it's like, why are you putting these players who have been injured and like only now starting to get back into it? Why are you putting them in?
I feel like you're stuck with Shaw because his wages are crazy. I don't know who's gonna take this guy off your hand, especially with his injury record.
Dude, he's gonna be the new Lindelof, man. Just on the team, plays like 2 games a season. Although Lindelof was never that bad. I always thought Lindelof was just, solid. Not the best, but
like
mediocre maybe.
Yeah.
The Iceman.
But I guess one last question to have before we move on from this segment. I don't know if you have much to add, Eric, for this game specifically, but as United fans, maybe this is crazy because to me there's an obvious answer, but I think for a lot of United fans, it's becoming growingly split or maybe just indifferent. But are you at this point in time Amorim in or out?
No, dude, I'm backing Amorim. Like, I think the decisions with that game were questionable, but we've known ever since this dude came in, this is not the team he wanted. And he didn't get to build his own team. He only signed like Dorgu. And it's like him and Ugarte, I think. Or was that Ten Hag even? I can't even remember. That was Ten Hag, yeah. So we got like one signing. This is not his team. He worked with what he had. He very clearly did not want to be here in the middle of the season, and yet we still got to a final. But our league results also showed what happens when you don't have a fresh slate.
If I want to play devil's advocate, because I agree, even as a non-Man United fan, I think you got to at least give him the summer. But to play devil's advocate, as a coach, even if you can't expect everything to be perfect for you. I mean, in his situation, nothing was perfect. But it is factual that you did get worse under him.
But that's because also, I think there are a lot of factors. I think it's more than tactics when it comes to the coach. It's also the whole ownership, the club laying off like people who worked there for decades, not paying for lunches, making them take the train to games. Like, the whole environment is just in a weird period right now. And I think Amorim himself has been trying to maybe assert a culture there. And, when you're doing that while also trying to train and coach a team you don't necessarily want, you got Jadon Sancho still, paying his bills at Chelsea. Like, there are a lot of problems.
Ready to battle relegation, buddy. We're sending them straight back. Bro.
I already saw the news today, bro. We getting that 5 million. We need it. That dude was celebrating like he's staying at Chelsea forever.
No.
But my point being, I think Amorim needs time. I back him. Because here's the other thing. Like, I already have said for years now, we just need to dedicate like 2 full years to a coach and their system and fully back it, and like not this bullshit of like, oh, we need to save money, let's get this cheaper striker named Højlund who's like a young guy and has no pro experience, whatever. Like, no, we need to actually back the ideas and what they want to do with the team and let them be accountable then to that. Stop putting them in terrible situations. I do think we're finally at that moment of change. I sincerely hope so, because if it doesn't work out with Amorim and trusting him and his system and his players, I don't know where we go from here. I genuinely don't. I can't even begin to think of another coach who could come in and be the saving grace. But I genuinely think this team just needs a full reset. Cunha has already been confirmed. You got the here we go. So, he'll be a great addition, I think. He was killing it at Wolves, but yeah, just the team needs a reset. But you know what? With all the struggle, it'll make the victory so much sweeter, man, when we lift another trophy. So I've been patient. I've been supporting the team. I'll continue to do that. Continue to support the coach.
Yeah, fair. Go ahead, Eric. I know this is also your team. I want to hear what you got to say.
No, what I will say, well, first off, in regards to Amorim, I think it's way too soon to sack a manager this early on. He's been there for what, like 6 months? So I think it would be to look at the short-term results or just look at the very small body of work and to make the decision to sack somebody who's actively trying to change of a team, I think would not be best decision. Alexi just went on this little rant, and I know we disagree on this, but I think this is one of those moments where I'm like, where I can pinpoint a situation where I can tangibly say, like, these are the kind of moments. And I guess it's not the same for Manchester United right now. Like, it's not like, I'm not saying that this is how I feel about Man United right now. But listen, if there are any fans listening out there, and Alexi, you in particular as well, like, I think if the team that you support is not putting out an adequate product, I'm not saying go and root for Chelsea. I'm not saying go out there and root for Tottenham. But I'm saying, like, it is okay to take a step back and not be as invested in the club. And this applies for any sport, right? But within this context, you don't have to wake up early on a Saturday morning to tune in for every game, because I know that there are people out there who do that. And I think, I don't know, and this is just the way I see things, it's not really, I wouldn't really consider a bandwagon move, but I think it's like, yeah, you can still stay in tune with what's going on with the team. You can look at the transfers and the signings, and you can catch a game here and there. I'm not encouraging anybody to just completely stop watching, but I will say, for the sake of your well-being, I wouldn't necessarily think it's a bad thing to take some time and take some distance. Like, I think there's something to be
bro,
said
really
about
talking like a therapist right now, bro. That's
No,
how bad
bro.
it is.
That is what it is, bro.
He's
Like,
talking like we're
listen,
dealing with addiction or something.
listen, bro. Like, it is so crazy, man. Like, I don't know. What I will say, like, I think what I do feel passionate about is that, like, I don't know, like, I think the fans are entitled to be able to watch a solid product. And I think when you have a team like United that has all the resources to be able to put out a solid product, but it's just not, something's just not clicking. The culture's off, you mentioned. The roster is inadequate. There's a new coach. So, like, there's a lot of contributing factors. Like, I don't understand how there are fans out there who, like, their level of, or I guess I would say, like, the distance from the club does not diminish. They still continue to be there day in and day out, and more power to you if that makes you happy. But, like, I always get frustrated with team administrations when they just can't put out an adequate product. And where we just so happen to be in the NBA world, we've been talking a lot about the Knicks. That's how I felt about that team for a long time. Was pissed, would stay tuned in, but, like, it's okay to take some time, and I don't think that makes you a bad fan. But I don't know. That's neither here nor there. I don't know if people agree or disagree with me, but that's how I see things.
Man, that's its own take, its own discussion. I feel like, the varying degree of a fan. I don't think there's a good fan or a bad fan. It's just what people got the time and energy for.
Fair.
But yeah, I support that sentiment. That's a very fair take. This team, you charging for $150 jerseys. You charging, I don't know, probably $30 for food at Old Trafford, 30 pounds. It's like you need to see a good performance for those prices, and for the reputation Manchester United has. And if you don't see it, then that's a very valid reason to just temporarily, pause on that.
Yeah. And I've actually had that sentiment with a lot of different, I've said how that's applied to a lot of franchises I root for. Also a testament to how I may not do as good of a job in picking the teams I root for. But, like, I'm experiencing that with the Mexican national team, man. Like, they put up a very disappointing World Cup performance this last time around. It was and I think this is where it comes from, because they also have a very passionate fan base, and they had people who were rooting really hard for that team, but also were, like, calling out coaching, calling out the roster selection, and it seemed like they just weren't being listened to. And when the noise got loud I saw the federation actually take a step and like make changes. So just saying, there's power. There's power in the fan base.
That's fair. I think there's gonna need to be some power this summer because y'all gotta decide what are y'all doing between Garnacho, Anthony, Rashford, and Sancho.
Dude, they're all gone. They're all gone.
That's the craziest lineup of wingers I've ever heard in my life. Oh my god, it's so funny. It's just so
They
funny.
all need to go, bro. I think I do feel a bit bad for Rashford, bro. Went there being like, yes, Champions League football. Barely played, or like maybe 2 games, got injured, and we were the ones to kick him out of the Champions League. Like,
Which
you know,
made it
that I
even
guess I'm
cooler.
getting ahead of myself for our next topic.
I think it's
final day.
perfect timing to hop into that. I think we talked enough about the Europa League and what a final day it was. Like you just mentioned, a lot of massive results in the last day of the Premier League season, and we can get into, I guess, probably the most important 1v1 result with the Chelsea and Forest game in a bit. But sticking on the Man United theme, Man United defeating Aston Villa 2-0 on the final day, maybe in controversial fashion, some might say. I don't know. We can discuss that maybe, but a lot of crazy results. But let's start with that game. We don't have to go through every game in depthly, but just because you brought it up there, massive result there for the final table.
Yeah, you know, from the Man U side, it makes you be like, where was that performance all season? Not even that it was all that great, but it was something. It was dominant to an Aston Villa, which, you know, has been among the top 6, I think, for most of the season, and has really been putting in a fight for that Champions League placement. And to see them collapse under us, I felt like I was dreaming almost, like it couldn't be real. And then Martinez's red card, bro. I don't know, like, how are you a World Cup winner goalkeeper and that's your decision making to foul like that instead of just accept the goal and have the mindset that your team can come back and score one, and then just put your team at a permanent loss with that foul in the red. I mean, that is ridiculous. That is like one of the worst fouls I've seen in a long time. Not worse in terms of bad, but just stupid. So that was ridiculous. It was a bit, you know, nice to see, you know, Lindelof and Christian Eriksen get their last game in, as well as what's his old head's name, Johnny Evans, been around the block. You know, they got their last game in, so respect to them. Eriksen with the pen, you know. If only he had a nice curler from distance or something. I was waiting for that. But that was wholesome. Garnacho not playing as expected after those Europa League comments, not even on the bench. Good. We need more of that. And yeah, I mean, I can't say I was like too incredibly happy with the performance. I was more so pleasantly surprised how bad Villa were.
Yeah, and I was gassed. I was definitely gassed. You rarely catch me rooting for Manchester United, but on that final day, all of a sudden I had on 3 jerseys. You know, I was gassed for United, Everton. I was keeping an eye on, and obviously my team Chelsea. I will say in that United game, I didn't watch it live. I was watching only the Chelsea game, but from what I saw of the highlights, it seemed like low-key Villa were robbed of a goal. Like Morgan Rogers should have had a goal. That
I disagree with that take personally.
Okay,
so, just for context for viewers, essentially, I believe it was Morgan Rogers. It looked like he kicked the ball out of Bayendier, our goalkeeper's hands, and then scored a goal from that. But as he shot the ball after taking it from the keeper, the ref blew his whistle. And the ball went in, but because the ref blew his whistle, VAR couldn't look at the situation of whether he had fouled the keeper or whether the keeper really had possession. The slow-mo replays, it's tough because in my head, just my whole life when I played, if a keeper has their two arms pretty much around the ball, even if they're not holding it, but if they're about to grasp that, you don't stick your leg in. And he did that. Rodgers did that, and I think stepped on his hand. So I think that alone would have been enough of a call for it to not count it as a goal. But the Villa fans are huffing on some copium and think it should have counted, and think they still would have beat us, even though it would have just ended 2-1 or something like that. So I don't think there's much there, but I think Villa fans are just a bit salty.
That's fair. I think at least from the replays I saw, I think there's an argument that he didn't have control. Whether or not it's right to then play for it, I think is true. That's also a discussion.
Yeah, I think it's a debate.
I can see from their perspective where basically they're like, this is our basically top 5 chances on the line, and it's coming down to a referee's decision. I'd be salty too in that situation. But yeah, that game was not what I expected, because coming into these last few weeks, I was shook. I was shivering me timbers, bro. After we lost in Newcastle, I was thinking, we're cooked, because we have to play Forest on the last day. We have to play United first of all, which obviously it's not a peak United, but still for Chelsea, that's never going to be an easy game. And then having to play Forest on the last day, to me, I thought Chelsea had the roughest final stretch of fixtures to make the top 5. Whereas Villa, I'm like, this is Villa. They should handle United quite easily. Newcastle, they should handle Everton quite easily. And we won't go in depth on this game, but Newcastle ended up losing 1-0 to Everton as well on the final day. And basically them and Villa were battling it out for who would be worse and who would get that 5th spot, because Newcastle, it was clutch for them that United handled business as well, because they did not handle what they needed to do against Everton. But speaking of the team that did sneak into the top 5 on the final day and actually made their way up to 4th, Chelsea Football Club. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gassed. I'm very gassed, bro. I was celebrating that final whistle like we just won the Champions League. I was so gassed. And Eric, it did ring in my mind that time that you mentioned, really, is this what you're aiming for, like top 4, top 5? It's kind of a pathetic thing to really be this excited for. And I agree. I'm out here gassing my team is 4th place in the league, but really, we take those, because at halfway through the season, for 2nd against all odds, no one ever saw that coming for us being that good. And the back half of the season, dramatic fall off. And coming into these last few games, no one probably had us making top 5. So to get it done, win our last 2 games, 1-0, handle business, to me, I'm very excited. And if you actually look at the table, there's not much in it in those few spots. Like, obviously, we are clear 4th with 69, and 5th and 6th have 66. 7th, Forest, who we beat on the final day, and I thought we were solidly, I think they were better than us in the first half, but we were solidly better than them in the second half and handled business. But there's 65, so that gap is not much. And then going the other way, City with 71. So City are less than a win better than us this season. Obviously, they had one of the worst runs of all time in the middle of the season. But Arsenal are only on 74, and while we're on 69. Obviously, these things are so black and white. There's different context to each fixture. Like, you could say Liverpool's only on 84. That's not that great. But really, Liverpool took like the last month off of the season, month and a half off of the season. They probably could have hit in the 90s if they were pushed for the title run. So obviously it's not that black and white, but for Chelsea to be in and amongst these names, I think we're a bit ahead of schedule, if anything. Because coming into this season, I would have been gassed just to match last season, especially after switching coaches. You can make the argument Poch would have had the same improvement, but at the end of the day, Maresca actually got it done this year, and I'm glad to see, just like you said with the Amorim situation, all you really can ask for is, can we get some continuity? Can we see a coach get back-to-back years and we can see their vision play out. And now Maresca had his year one. I would say at the end of the day, you have to call this a successful season, or at least a good season, especially if we win the Conference League. But to be honest, even before the game, I was saying, to me, the Forest game is the Cup final. I don't really care about the Conference League either way. But you have to say this was a good season for Chelsea. But now we get to see year two. We get to see another summer, bring in some more players. We have young guys coming in. A guy from the Brazilian league who's supposed to be the next GOAT. We'll see how that actually turns out. But this guy named Esteval is coming in. Next year, we have a guy coming from Sporting who's like 17. Quenda, this guy. So we're getting rid of the dead weight. Sterling should be out the goddamn door. Sancho, send him back to United. We don't care about no fee, bro. That guy, oh my God, he was going ghost the entire
Send him to
season.
Dortmund, bro. They so hyped to have him. Let him.
Let him have him, honestly. We can agree on that. I've been nice to him all season, but now the Band-Aid's ripped off, bro. We're sending you back, buddy. Get ready to battle relegation. But yeah, for me, I'm just excited to see, even if next year, I'm not saying we're going to go on and push for a title charge. Obviously, we're going to have to deal with the Champions League, which is a completely different beast than the Conference League. But even being in these conversations, 2 years ago when we finished, what did we finish? I don't remember, but it was terrible. We was like 12, it was something crazy. It was really bad. I kind of
Mid-table.
Yeah, it was poor. And honestly, it felt like us and United were in very similar situations around that time. And then the fact that we've been able
But
to...
I need to interrupt.
Go ahead.
But Ollie, bro, crazy, because I just remembered, bro led us to third place, to second place, still get the sack. I'd be praying to be, I'd be so delighted to be second or third place now. I don't know why we were complaining back then. I mean, I know the football wasn't all that great, but
Standards is just so different now.
the standards are so different. But continue. I agree. We're in the Chelsea spot right now.
Which is hey, that's disrespectful at this point. Like we were never touching on near relegation spots, man. We were solid mid-table side, you know. But either way, you could say that we have at least somewhat. It's not perfect. Our ownership, you know, they still got some stuff to work out. They clearly aren't selective with their squad because our squad is massive. But you could say that worked out for us, having a B team to play in the Conference League and an A team to play in the Premier League. That probably made the difference with us actually making top 5 this year. So you can say the ship has been somewhat righted. It's not perfect, but it really wasn't too far from going the other direction where we could be battling with Spurs and United for 15th. Like, honestly, we take what we can get. So I don't know if you guys have any more comments on that or the final day in general, but it was chaotic. And I know we did some predictions. I think maybe it was our first episode, low key. It was either our first or second episode.
Yeah.
We did some predictions for the top 6 based on the midway point of the season, and I actually have those written down. So I'm just gonna run through those real quick. I don't. You probably don't even remember what you said at the time, but
I remember Nottingham Forest like 3rd or something.
Why do you say that? Let's start with Eric. So midway through the season, I don't remember exactly what the table was like at the time, but in terms of predictions, Eric predicted Newcastle to finish 6th. So one off, not bad. Chelsea to finish 5th. So one off again. You predicted Arsenal to finish 4th.
Interesting.
Which I think isn't crazy considering Saka was injured. But they were able to hold on to that 2nd place. You predicted City to finish 3rd, so spot on. City in 3rd place. You predicted Forest to finish 2nd, and they dropped off to 7th. Although, to be fair, the points, there's not much in it, but they did drop off to finish 7th. And Liverpool, of course, to win the title, which they did indeed do. So, not bad, honestly. I think the Forest one is the big stinker in there, but not bad.
Word. Yeah.
I'm remembering now. I definitely had them first. fight Liverpool, I think.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah. I was calling it the Everton season.
Well, it's funny you say that. So let's run through yours. So in sixth place, I'm not laughing at you because sixth place you had Villa, and Villa did in fact finish sixth place. Fifth place, Newcastle United. Back to back, spot on. Fourth place, Chelsea. Second place, no wait, I just skipped. Third place, Arsenal. So one off there. Second place, Liverpool. So once again, one off there. But this one, Forest first place. I just made up that entire gap. Which that also means you had City finishing outside the top six.
Yeah,
they were
I was on my hater energy that day.
Heavy. I remember you specifically saying, just because I hate City, they're not finishing top six.
Yeah, I remember that. I stand by it. Proud.
City, to be fair to City, I gotta and we'll get into my predictions because I had factored this in, although it didn't quite come true. But I'll just get into mine and see why I said that. Sixth place, I had Bournemouth, which they finished ninth. I was choosing out of those teams who were like in the 7 to 10 range. One of them hoping they would sneak in there. It didn't quite happen, unfortunately. I should have bet on Brighton, if anything. But Bournemouth, solid team this year. Fifth place, I had Chelsea. I remember specifically saying they're not going to make top 4 because I think at the time we didn't know it was going to be top 5 yet. I specifically said I didn't back them to make top 4. I didn't have faith. But they did even better than that. Fourth place, I had Forest. I thought they would drop a little, but not too much, and obviously they could not sustain the first half of the season that they had. Third place, I had Arsenal. One off. They ended up maintaining second, like we said. And here's where I flipped. I put City at second because I thought City would right the ship in the back half of the season, which they did, to be fair. But it wasn't enough. They weren't able to overcome Arsenal. I specifically remember saying, I think it would be hilarious if after the worst stretch in a long time for City, they still finish above Arsenal. That would be completely like comedy. To be fair, 3-point difference considering the season City have had.
It's still very funny.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Because Arsenal fans will have you believe if Liverpool weren't Salah wasn't going crazy, Arsenal would be the best team in the country. Clearly, it's not that big a gap.
Nah, bro. It's crazy, too, when you think about, like, London teams, bro. You really got Tottenham winning a trophy in 17th. And Arsenal, second, trophyless, again, fumbling the Champions League. I mean, how long is that dude Arteta, you think, going to be there at this point?
I think, honestly, he has to get silverware next season. He has to. Because at this point in time, we're in like year 5, maybe year 5 of the project, 5 or 6, something crazy. And obviously, he has a lot of young players, but we may have discussed this before. I think for their top players, maybe not Saka because he's a academy kid, but like someone like Saliba, this guy's gonna want to win trophies at some point. He's one of the best center backs in Europe.
Yeah,
there's no reason why cause I'm sure Madrid are knocking on his door already. If they don't win something next season, if I'm Saliba, I'm like, hey man, Madrid are calling, I'm going. Like I'm trying to win something. So I feel like Arteta, slyly, I think because they got to the semifinals of the Champions League, it's slightly giving them a little more gas in the tank for next season. And they're hoping they don't have as many injuries as they had this season. Because to be fair, Odegaard was out early, Saka was out for a solid chunk of the back half. But I definitely think there's some panicking happening very soon for Arsenal.
Yeah,
but Liverpool. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I agree. I mean, I feel like with this amount of time, how it's gone. I mean, how long can the vibes truly stay up with him there and like not winning anything? In the like how?
Yeah, I was gonna say everyone coming into this season, if you would have told them Manchester City are gonna go like 1 win in 13 games, everyone would have said, especially Arsenal fans would have said,
we're winning the league.
Yeah, Arsenal won the league. Like comfortably Arsenal should be the best team in the league if City are falling off like that. But they finished 10 points behind Liverpool with a brand new coach. Obviously, to be fair to Slot, or to be fair to Arteta, it's not like Slot just came in with a bunch of bums. Like, he had a pretty good foundation with Klopp, but still, I think 10-point gap isn't even as representative of how much better Liverpool were. I think if a team was pushing them for a title race, Liverpool could have hit 90, 93, but they probably honestly could have hit 96 points. Like, they were really good. They were genuinely really good.
Yeah.
They did not try for the last however many games. But
it's really interesting. Just this season in general, the points, and like I feel like so many teams were so close, and no one really stood out as dominant other than Liverpool. Like it really just seemed like a mixed bag season, and even just going back to Tottenham for a sec with them winning the Europa League, like that's crazy how this Tottenham side won a trophy. I mean, you think back to like the side they had in 2015, 2016, you would think they would have won a few trophies. So it's just the standards all around are so jumbled. It's insane.
For sure. I think one that looks bad on Europe, like the fact that the 17th. And
I think on the Prem.
Well, I'm about to get to the Prem because the Prem is its own issue. But I think the fact that the 17th place team in the Premier League beat out all these other, obviously it's not the best teams in Europe that are in the Champions League, but still like the solid teams in their league who should be finishing like 4th, 5th in their league, who are in the Europa League, are just getting beaten by the 17th team in the Premier League. It just shows how much money is in the Premier League specifically, which that there's a certain imbalance there with the rest of Europe. Obviously, I think it's not accurate that Tottenham are actually the 17th best team in the Prem. If you look at their goal difference, the fact that they only have -1 goal difference, and like, let's see, like Fulham are on 0, Palace are on 0, and they're like 11th, 12th. I feel like that's more accurate to where Tottenham could be if they're healthy, because they did have both of their starting center backs out basically the whole year, and with their high line, they need those two center backs specifically. But still, and like you said, for the Premier League, they have a real issue. Like the fact that these 3 relegated teams, it was a foregone conclusion that they're going straight back down, and even with the teams right ahead of them being so bad, there's still a 13-point gap from them and Tottenham. We have a real issue in the Premier League. I think one, it's a good thing because the mid-table is super competitive. Like you said, like Brighton, Bournemouth, Brentford, Fulham, Palace, like that run of teams, that's a super interesting mid-table to have, and they can take points off any of the top 6 in any game. Like it's really, maybe Liverpool is probably the hardest, but still, I think Fulham took points off Liverpool, Forest took points off Liverpool in both games. Like those teams are really dangerous in any given season. So it's really, I don't know what next year. I think it's Leeds coming up, Burnley, and Sunderland coming up next year. I'm hoping one of them can shake up the establishment, but we might be looking at the same 17 teams every year for however many years to come, because the gap between the Prem and the Championship is massive right now.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I got nothing more to add to that.
Yeah, no, fair. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the wrap up season. It's been a fun season. I think overall, obviously we didn't have much of a title race, which you always want a title race, so that was a bit of a shame. I'm sure Liverpool fans don't care, but in terms of that mid-table and like the top 5 race, it did end up being a little bit interesting to the end of the season. So I would say it's a solid season, but I think next year, and we'll definitely be talking about it over the summer with transfers, and we'll do a preview for next year, probably toward the end of August. But I think next year is going to be really interesting, like super interesting, because there's no way in my mind we see United and Spurs this low. So even if they're battling with like that stretch from like Brighton to Palace, that's going to be a fascinating mid-table, like so interesting. So
yeah,
I think next year is going to be really fun.
I think I'm going to hold my optimism until we get some transfers going.
Yeah, fair. If you guys, like you said, you got Cunha. If you guys get Embuemo, I think you guys are looking at.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's interesting. I think you guys
solid. I don't know why. Huh?
I think you need more athletes in general. Like
Yeah,
your
more
team,
athletes.
not
I
super
thought you
athletic.
said the lap because I'm a bit scared. I saw today that there are rumors that might be confirmed. I don't know
You don't
why
like the lap?
I don't know why we're going after a dude who looks like he works at Dunder Mifflin, bro. Like, sorry. I'm
That's
sorry.
crazy. He scored 12 goals in the league for a relegated side. It's not bad. It's not bad, you know.
It's not bad, but is that for Manchester United? Is that what we want?
Probably not, honestly. Probably not. But I think at this point, if the bar is Hoyland, I think you want someone who's Premier League. I think more than anything, you want someone who's Premier League proven, because the whole
Yeah.
signing people from Europe, clearly it's not working. Like clearly these guys aren't transferring over the way you'd hope. So I think
At
that's where
least
they're doing
the
it.
current gen, bro. At least the current gen.
Yeah.
The past few days I've been thinking back to Zlatan when he was at Man U, bro, and I'm
Mhm.
just like, I miss those days, bro. I miss those
Honestly.
days so much. God.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see Ambram actually get some players in. But speaking of Europe, actually,
Mm.
the Champions League final.
Mm.
Massive game. We covered a lot of the Champions League. I actually found out from a viewer recently that we actually didn't do a reaction to the semifinal. I think we forgot to do that. Like the Inter versus Barca and all that PSG Arsenal, but still Champions League final. Now we're here. We are covering it, of course, and we'll be covering the game. We'll do a reaction once it's over as well. PSG versus Inter Milan. I don't know if that's how you actually pronounce it, but I tried. This is gonna be very fun, honestly. Very. What did you say, Eric?
I said, bro.
Inter Milano.
Inter Milano. It'll be a very interesting game, and I want to preview the game a little bit, but also hop into some predictions because we spam the predictions over here. We got to see who's right and who's wrong after the game's over. But I guess we'll just base it a little bit off of those previous results. Inter handling Barcelona. Handling maybe is a strong word. But I think it was 7-6 on aggregate in the end.
Mhm.
Crazy result. We don't have to go super in depth because that was a few weeks ago now. But how did that make you feel about them going into the final? Did you expect Inter to put up 7 goals across 2 games? Concede 6 goals across 2 games? It's kind of wild.
Not at all, man. I think one, it was a heartbreaking watch because as someone who was just rooting for Barcelona and just thought that Barca was the most cohesive, just like fluid team I was seeing. Obviously, I originally had Real taking the whole thing just because I thought talent alone would get them over the top. Clearly, that did not happen. Seeing how Inter was just like, I don't know, they always seem to be a leg up on Barca, and even though Barca had a lot of fight in them, it just looks like they had them kind of figured out. And I don't know, they just seemed to just have. It was like how do I say this? Like they just seem prepared and like to take off a team or to like take down a team that can really catch fire just at any moment. Is impressive because there were lots of moments there where it felt like, there was magic going on. There were legendary performances put on by like Lamine Yamal. Like he was insane.
Crazy.
He was insane.
Best player in the world, honestly. He's got to be the best player in the world.
Best player in the world.
There's just something to be said when like sports is always going to be, any sport is really going to be a game on momentum, right? Like, and to be able to constantly kill that momentum on a team that just seemed to just consistently be getting hot, I have to pay my respects to Inter, and I feel pretty good about them winning the whole thing. I know Dre, your prediction originally was you were siding with Inter because you had previously underestimated them. I think all of us here underestimated the two teams that have made it to the final, and I personally just like can see Inter raising up the trophy in the end, but that's just me.
Interesting. Okay, well then, let's hop to you, Alexi, and let's talk a little bit about like you said, we have to go super in depth. And if you want to add on to that as well, you can. But the Arsenal PSG game, just to get into that super quick.
Yeah.
PSG ended up winning 3-1 on aggregate. Arsenal fans,
They
Saying
Spurs
that.
it, man.
Hey man, no trophies, kind of crazy, but yeah, PSG, kind of the underdogs coming into this tournament. I know they were been in super informed, but I don't think anyone at the beginning of the season would have said PSG in a Champions League final, especially
No.
after Mbappe leaving, going to Madrid. That's crazy.
It reminds me of Harry Kane, bro. Like leaving Tottenham in a way. Like they finally win their trophy. Like sure, he won his trophy in the Bundesliga, but you know, that was his team. So it's the same way with Mbappe. That was his team for like 4 or 5 years, and now they might actually finally win the thing they were trying to win in buying Messi and Neymar and him for. So whether it actually happens, I really, this is a game I don't want to bet on, bro. I think it can go either way. I think a slight bias for Inter, just because, I mean, it's such a unique lineup. And for me, the fact that Mkhitaryan's still out here and somehow making it to a Champions League final, like, if you told me 8 years ago that he would be in a Champions League final, I would have told you were lying and that there's no way, there's no shot. But here he is. But they've got a great forward lineup as well. Just the way they've played, the way they've defended, as they're known to this tournament. I think I definitely prefer like their style, and if they win, I'll be happy. I think that'll also be something different. I think too many times we see like the so-called like big clubs, even though Inter's still a big club in Italy. It's not normal though. You see like an Italian side like win the Champions League. I feel like maybe in years past it was more normal. In recent times,
last decade, yeah,
not recently. So that's something I would prefer to see. But at the end of the day, I think we're just in for a good match of soccer. And Arsenal definitely did not deserve to be here.
Interesting. Yeah, this is a crazy final to me. Like this entire tournament. For me, and I think I said it back when we first did our predictions for the bracket, that Inter really are the dark horse of the tournament. I think most people would have had Madrid winning it. I was on Barca from the beginning, but Inter to me, just their style of play, just looks sneakily like a winning style of play for knockout football specifically. Obviously, they didn't end up winning Serie A. They ended up losing to the greatest of all time, Scott McTominay, who carried Napoli to the Scudetto. So, you know, another Man United player revitalizing his career.
Nah, bro, he was always solid, bro. He was always solid.
Always as in that.
Actually, no, that's definitely not true. He was not solid when he first came on the scene, but over time, he's like Harry Maguire, where he put his head down, he put in the work, and it showed. It showed. So I'm happy for him.
For sure. And I think that itself is crazy. Honestly, I saw this comment somewhere that like players should just join Man United just so when they leave they get the post United buff.
Maybe that's Cunha's tactic right now. He's like,
join for a
year contract or whatever, and I'm out.
Yeah, go crazy somewhere else. But this matchup, my head is telling me Inter, and my head has been telling me Inter for a long time, just because of their style of play. The fact that they showed me the flexibility, because for most of the tournament, I think they had barely conceded any goals, period. But then to tell me that they conceded 6 to Barcelona, which I think that just alone speaks to Barcelona's attacking prowess and Lamine Yamal putting on an absolute showcase. But to tell me that they conceded 6 to Barcelona, but were able to slap 7 on their head top is crazy to me. Like I never would have expected Inter to score 7 goals across 2 games.
Yeah.
So that shows me that more than just being this defensive juggernaut, they really do have the full package, and they really have specialists for their system. Like they're proving you can really play this 3 at the back, 5 at the back hybrid, whatever, if you have specialists like Dumfries and DeMarco bombing those wings, going crazy. Dumfries in that semifinal, those 2 legs, he went absolutely stupid. Like that was crazy. I think he was coming back for injury for those games too. So My head is definitely telling me Inter. However, my heart is saying PSG. Only because I think I heard there's apparently some kind of magic with finals in Munich where teams win their first European trophy every time there's a final in Munich. And this final isn't like 2012 Chelsea beat Bayern Munich in Munich to win the Champions League with that Drogba header. Oh my god, goated. But the fact that PSG are the team coming in here without that Champions League trophy to their name, and the fact that Luis Enrique proved to me, I mean, he was always a great coach. Obviously, he did the treble with Barcelona or whatever 10 years ago, but the adjustment to make Ousmane Dembele this like false nine, and the fact that like I never even considered it, and it makes perfect sense that one of the most two-footed players in the game could play in the middle and dictate play to those wingers that he has. And obviously he has Kvaradona, who's a monster, and then swapping out Doué or Barcola. But to me, that was just a master stroke of coaching to have Dembele in this role. And now we're seeing him, honestly, if he wins this game, he's up there for Ballon d'Or conversation, which is crazy. You never would have considered Dembele winning the Ballon d'Or before Mbappe. I never, ever would have like had that on my bingo card. So really, like you guys both said, this is true 50-50. But just because I had Inter as the dark horse coming into this tournament, I feel like I have to back them. And if PSG pull it out, honestly, I will be happy for them because they really changed their whole project, like backing French talent specifically. And although they got rid of arguably the best French talent, but it will make Mbappe the biggest loser of this entire European season, even though he won the European Golden Boot. We don't care, bro. You left PSG, went to Madrid with the most stacked team any of us can remember.
No, I stand by that still, though, bro.
I'm not saying he shouldn't have done it.
Seeing him play in the Liga, it's not the same as La Liga. And, you know, even there, I think he set the record for the most amount of goals for like first season at Madrid. So, you know, as you said, Golden Boot. Yeah, trophy-wise, not looking great. But for him in his career and hopefully what will be a great legacy, I think this was the right move nonetheless.
Yeah, I think in the long term, it'll prove to have worked out. But for a first season, now you look like you were the issue the entire time at PSG. Like the fact that you leave Madrid, who I think especially because he's been flirting with Madrid for years, and Madrid just won the Champions League, for them to get bounced the way they did, and for PSG to potentially win the Champions League the year after, like basically you were the common denominator for not winning it, does not look good for him. But I'm sure he's still a crazy talent. He's probably going to win a Ballon d'Or at some point, or a Champions League at some point. If he doesn't, if he retires without either of those, I will be completely shocked. Now that'd be kind of wild. But I'm going with Inter for this game. If I understand correctly, Eric, you're also, I think we all backed Inter. It sounded like anyway as a prediction.
Yeah, I have Inter.
Yeah, I back Inter. But you know, again, PSG still got a great team.
For sure.
Yeah, I also want to shout out that Georgian dude. I don't even know how to say his name. Kvaratskhelia, whatever. Kvaratskhelia, yeah.
But I call him Kvaradona.
That one. Kvaradona, yeah.
Yeah,
well
that's a better name.
Well deserved. I know he's gonna put in a shift in that final, so I can't wait for his performance personally.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's crazy. The fact that he joined PSG mid-season, well, one, it's crazy that Napoli still went on to win.
He won in 2 trophies.
Yeah, wait, true. That's crazy. Well, he might win a treble with PSG because they won all the domestic stuff already. And then obviously, if he won Serie A technically, and then if he wins Champions League, that might be the greatest.
A pental.
Yeah. That's definitely not the word, but I don't know what it is. a quintuple.
Oh yeah, that
a pental is crazy. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this final. It's gonna be a lot of fun for sure. And we'll see how that turns out. Any last comments on that?
Man, best of luck. Best of luck to the players. They're definitely not going to hear this, but I send that message to them in spirit.
Weak. Who do we know is the? Oh, it's gonna be Linkin Park. I was like, who's gonna be the halftime show? I know it like isn't that.
There's a halftime show.
I didn't even know.
Linkin Park. What?
Oh no, it's a pre-match show. My fault. Not.
They got
halftime,
Michael
pre-match.
Bay directing the game too.
Yeah, I didn't know. Linkin Park was still like but
Active like that.
Yo, I need them to do that song as they lift the trophy. They're like, "What I've done,"
I never heard that song in my life.
Well, whatever's at the end of Transformers, man.
It's the one
You
with
know?
Jay-Z.
It doesn't have Jay-Z.
Oh, I know that
Is
one.
that the one you're talking? I've become so numb. Is that what you're talking about?
Whatever. I'm gonna Google it right now.
Oh wait, no, you're saying something. I now know what you're doing. I just got what you're talking
It
about.
is called What I've Done. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what that. I was thinking about something completely different.
I know the Jay-Z one, but I never heard that What I've Done thing.
Nah, you definitely have in memes.
Who's this
or
in
some-
Transformers? Then
Yeah, it's all over me.
Search like it's when Optimus Prime does his speech at the end. They got it playing in the background,
Definitely.
and then like it cuts to the credits and it like drops to the hook. It's peak storytelling, peak film cinema. Yeah, fitting for them to then play at the Champions League final.
There you go. Linkin Park, PSG, Inter Milan. I feel like it's wrong to do the broke man's Italian accent without doing the broke man's French accent. So I'll run that back.
Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, PSG. Oh, sorry, Linkin Park, Paris Saint-Germain, and Inter Milan. I'm gonna get killed by all the Europeans that are not even listening to this. But there we go. That's another episode in the books.
Here we go.
I regret ever saying that. I said Fabrizio, bro, you getting me tight, bro. Just in general, I don't know, you just be getting me tight. But that's
Bro
another
talks.
conversation for another day.
Yeah, you know what? Next week.
Next week we're doing the Fabrizio rant, bro. Because we're going into Fabrizio season basically. Every summer is just literally Fabrizio season.
Okay, here we go. Lamine Yamal, new contract at Barcelona. That was my impersonation. You're welcome.
That's not terrible. Same thing with Shams, Eric, in the NBA. The fact that the ESPN had to report the MVP like a few hours before they got handed out, like that just to me that's just not necessary, bro. But
I was very stupid. I agree.
It's reporters in general get me tight. That's another conversation though. Thanks for watching, especially if you made it this far, listening, whatever. But maybe watching very soon. Hint, hint. We very much appreciate it. A lot of fun episodes. I mean, this one was all soccer talk. Next week we'll be back with the Champions League final, but also maybe the conference finals. Hopefully are wrapped up by then in the NBA. We'll be talking about those as well. But appreciate you guys. We'll be back here next week, dropping the clips. You know what time it is, and we'll see you next time.
Peace, y'all.
Let's go next. 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 Let's go next.